Hi, Tired. I'm Matt, and this is Ryan, and we are Dadcast. Ryan, how are you doing?
Ooh, yeah, I am doing all right, man. So,
All right, all right, all right.
all right, all right, all right. It's very interesting because, like, we're in the middle of the United States, but, I recently had a conversation with somebody where they kind of gave me some really good information on, like, how to catch a polar bear if you ever come across one. Not sure if you've ever heard about this, right? But there's like one surefire way on how you can catch a polar bear. The first thing you do is you've got to find like a frozen lake, and then you got to like cut a hole into the ice. You surround that hole with frozen peas, and then you kind of hide nearby. And the reason this works is because whenever the polar bear stops by to take a pea, you just run up behind him and you kick him in the ice hole.
Oh, gosh. That was not the outcome I was anticipating. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. When he stops to take a pee, you kick him in the ice hole.
And that's global warming, guys.
Yeah, you don't even need to cut a hole in the ice. Like there's not even any ice there for you to cut. So
Exactly. All the polar bears are drowning. Feel bad.
Shit.
We're getting deep with this episode.
Yeah, as deep as the water. Anyways.
Oh, God.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. For the viewers out there, I just got a procedure done a couple days ago. I got a procedure done a couple days ago, and I am not feeling 100% right now. So if you you won't see me. You'll hear me. If I don't sound 100% or sound a little bit dull, that is why. So I am still on the recovering bend.
Yeah, if you see him with your ears, then
yes,
you need to get your ears checked out.
Call 911. You have a problem.
Yeah, exactly. You're like those freaks that can hear colors. I'm just kidding.
Right? X-Men is looking for someone just like you.
Have you ever seen out of your ears? Professor X wants you.
Oh, gosh. But how has your week been, Ryan?
This is the first time in this podcast I'm probably going to say that it was not that great of a week.
No.
So, I mean, it started and was primarily same as any other week for the most part. Started off fine. It went pretty fine. And then on, I believe, Wednesday, my son was basically sick the entire day. So he came with me into my wife and I's bedroom, and was cuddled up underneath the blanket, over on our bed, kind of like next to me. I'm sitting on my side. He's kind of in the middle of the bed, like right next to me. We're watching some TV. He's just not feeling very well. He proceeds to sit up, and it's just like, and then just an explosion of vomit. Just out of his mouth.
No.
And when I say explosion, if you've ever watched a video of a volcano exploding, like it was like that. It was just boom, boom.
Did he aim upwards?
No, it was kind of straight down and out, right at my side of the bed.
Fun.
Onto the sheets, onto my blanket, my pillow case, and me. So, he's flipping out because obviously puking isn't fun. So I kind of, first priority for me was rush him out of the room, rush him to the bathroom so he can, stand over the toilet and, puke some more if he needs to. And he did. He ended up puking a little bit more. But after that, I stripped all of the stuff off the bed, took, all the sheets, blankets, pillowcase, that had been thrown up on, threw it in the washing machine, changed out of my pajamas into another set of like comfortable clothes that I could wear, threw those into the washer as well, started the washer. In hindsight, I should not have started the washer quite yet. Because my son was seemingly feeling better. Right? That's all fine and dandy. That's great.
Seemingly.
And so we go back to doing the same thing that we were doing before, where we're laying in bed, watching cartoons, and he's just not feeling well, so he's kind of cuddled underneath, a different blanket and stuff. And probably about 30 minutes to an hour later, another round of explosions happen, directly onto the mattress, directly onto the corner of my pillow. Luckily, it barely hit my pillow at all. I was able to spot clean that really easily. Most of it, however, ended up on me again. And so I did the same thing as last time, where I rushed into the bathroom so he could, puke into the toilet. I, however, did not make it out so lucky this time. It didn't just hit, my shirt and a little bit on my shorts. There was a ton of it all over my shorts, and it had gotten onto the edge of the shorts and kind of on the top part of, the part of my leg that was exposed, like around my knee or so. And I this is going to be very gross, so cover your ears for anybody that has a weak stomach. His vomit, when I got up and got him into the bathroom and stuff, his vomit was literally running down my leg because of like how, and it was just so watery because he just wasn't feeling well. And he didn't eat very much of his lunch and things like that throughout the day too. We kind of knew he was sick, but that was not very great of itself. So I, at that point, or like 2 hours later or 3 hours later when my wife got home, I was already very much, I was done with the day, man. Like I wanted just, for the kids to go to bed that night and me to just hop into my bed, maybe watch some YouTube or some TV with the wife and just like go to bed, because I had my fill for the day. Unluckily, that was not the end of the day, and we had quite the horrible experience with our daughter started to get sick later on that day. After my wife got home, she came home a little bit early, and she was taking care of our daughter. It was probably around 7:30 in the evening at this point, was holding our daughter, and our daughter started having a seizure, which we learned in retrospect from both the 911 dispatch that I spoke to, as well as the EMSA guys that showed up, which I'll get to that in a second, as well as the doctors that saw Genevieve that night, that it was a febrile seizure, I believe is what they called it, which basically it's a type of seizure that's actually pretty common in children, and particularly with infants, where essentially they will, if they have a fever, they will sometimes just out of nowhere have one of these seizures. And it's very unlikely that they will have another type of seizure like that ever again, as a result of like a fever, but it does kind of increase the chances that they will have just regular seizures throughout their life. Luckily, that's a very, very low chance. It's only, I think he said it's like 0.001 chance that they're going to have, seizures every now and then. So it's pretty low, but, it's kind of scary just to have that happen. My wife was very distraught, and,
I can imagine, man.
Yeah, we both, at the time, like I was staying very calm, because one thing about me is that I tend to kind of keep calm under really stressful situations, more particularly if the stress is on other people as well. I'll kind of deflect it off of myself so that I can be the calm person in that situation. If it's something happening to just me, I might freak out a little. However, in cases like this, especially, I'm able to stay calm and sort of detract myself from that. And so that's what I did. Mandy was pretty frantic, trying to make sure that, Genevieve was on her side and that she was still breathing and not choking and things like that. But like we were concerned, especially because she's having the seizure and, her eyes were open most of the time. After a couple minutes, like her eyes started to kind of like fade and she kind of started going like out of consciousness, and she went limp while she was shaking at one point. And, all of those things are very scary because it, can kind of be seen as alluding towards like, well, she's dying. And, luckily that wasn't the case. We called 911. I was on the phone with dispatch. They sent an ambulance to come over. They checked her out. They told us immediately when they got there and they started looking at her that, hey, she's still breathing. Her eyes are actually kind of, open. She's not necessarily alert, but, those are all good signs. It's all good. And, took her to the hospital. We went to the children's hospital, which we are probably never going to go to the ER there ever again, because this is the second time now in like a couple of weeks where we've taken Genevieve there, and it's been completely packed. They've had no rooms. They're seeing people that basically, it's just, oh, well, my child has a fever and a bad cough, which is stuff that they can just take care of at home, but they take them to the emergency room because, whatever reason. And then, it ends up being that, rooms get filled with people that may or may not even need to be there. When cases like, we just had a child that had a seizure, which the seizure started at home, and, we called 911. They sent the ambulance. Like her seizing did not stop until they were about halfway to the hospital. So that was a good maybe 15, 20 minutes that she was seizing, which is not normal. They told us that, those types of seizures are only supposed to last 5 minutes, usually, maybe 10 minutes tops. Hers was like 15 or 20 minutes. And they said, that's unusually long. It's a good idea for us to have made sure she was going to get to the emergency room to get that checked on. And, she ended up being fine. They told us basically what it was. Sigh of relief. Everything's good now. Haven't had any other problems since then. She's been her normal self. She's been eating. She's been sleeping normally. It's all good. But yeah, Wednesday, with my son getting sick and puking all over me all the time, followed by, this really kind of scary event. I've never experienced anything like that in my life at all at this point. And so, especially for it to be involved with somebody I care so much about, being one of my children, and then also seeing like how it was affecting one of the other people that I really, really love and care the most about, my wife. And it just, I would never wish that kind of experience on anybody. And, just hopefully nothing like that ever happens again. And, we can finally kind of be over this hump of me being kind of the incarnation of Murphy's Law, that everything that's going to go wrong in this household is going to go wrong. So,
that sounds like a scary, like, day. Like, that's really tough. And I've seen seizures in not only humans, but in pets as well. And it's not a pretty sight, and it can be very, very scary, especially if you don't know or not expecting it, or anything like that. If it's the first time, especially with like your little girl who just turned like, what is she, like a year and a half now?
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
So it's just, I can't imagine the feelings and emotions you were feeling during that time. So that's very scary. But I'm glad she's doing okay. I'm glad she's doing okay, and Doing better. Hopefully, no more fevers now.
Yeah. Yeah. Never fever again. Never.
Yeah, Tylenol the shit out of that.
Yep.
No, so, but it sounds like in your craziness that you had, uh, like the medical professionals of the EMTs and the doctors, like they're there to help you guys a lot and kind of be your heroes in a way. And I think that's actually kind of a good segue into what we're actually talking about this week, which is actually heroes. Like how I spun that for a little bit.
Yeah. You can be my hero, baby. Anyways.
That's right. Exactly. So we're talking specifically superheroes. I do want to do a special shout out to like the everyday heroes such as like police officers, EMTs, firefighters, medical personnel, and everyone else that just does their jobs to the best 100%. Thank you guys all for what you do. I was one of them, and if I was in that situation like you were, Ryan, I would have stayed calm. But my wife also tells me I get very bossy as well. That I start telling people what they need to do, and I start doing my thing that I need to do, and I need people to do their thing, so that way my vision of my plan that's happening comes to fruition. And she said I get very bossy and very to the point, and I feel terrible for anyone that has to work with me when I'm doing anesthesia, because that I get the exact same way when I'm monitoring an animal under anesthesia, and like their heart rate starts to drop or anything like that. Like I just start getting super bossy. So kudos to you for staying calm and in that situation. You're a hero in your own right there. But
Not back to heroes wear spandex.
Yes, I may be wearing some right now. Anyways, we are going to specifically be talking about superheroes. Specifically, we're going to be focusing on DC and Marvel. I know that there is a huge, what's the word, like rivalry? I can't say that word. Rivalry. There we go.
Yeah, there you
go. Yeah, so there's a huge competition between the both of them. I just chose a different word. And but huge competition between both of them. And whether you're a Marvel fan or a DC fan, is kind of like the same way of saying like, oh, are you a Republican or Democrat? I feel like. But in this episode, we are going to specifically pick one, maybe two from each one, depending on which one are our favorites. And first, I would like to start with the big guy in the room with Marvel. Ryan, would you like to share your favorite Marvel superhero or superheroes?
Oh, yes, for sure. So one of mine is very, very basic. And then the other one is not quite as basic, but if you've kind of know me, it makes quite a bit of sense. But I'll start with the basic one first, and that would actually be Captain America, Steve Rogers. So,
oh, nice.
It's I don't know. You could kind of maybe see like, okay, yeah, it's just this kind of everyday average dude where, it's kind of alluded to like his superpower is being super kind, and like being a brave hero that like always does what's right, kind of thing. Like the typical like kind of Boy Scout superhero, right? And that's cool and all. That's not why I like Captain America. Like, yes, he is cool. Yes, he is badass. Yes, I think the shield is absolutely like fucking incredibly cool. And just having like the capability of like so basically he's a super soldier, right? He's just this normal dude that got a super soldier serum like injected into him, and it made him like super strong, super athletic. He has like incredible stamina, like that kind of stuff. But
and made him taller, by the way.
Yes.
Yep, makes him taller. I'm still trying to look for that serum, by the way. I could definitely use that in my life right now.
Yeah, I'm like so much shorter than everybody else. But yeah, it's like it also like increased his intelligence. So I actually kind of explain like, well, how does he even get the shield to like bounce off of like walls all over the place and like, boomerang off of things. And well, it's because, he can look at an area and basically just do the math in his head of, if I throw it at this angle, at this speed, it'll like bounce off of these things and like come back to me and like that kind of stuff, which is like,
dang,
pretty cool. But I think for me, like one of the things that really, really sells Captain America as a hero, there is a hero that I favor, and they really touched on this in his character in the MCU. Was sort of the disconnect of like his loyalty and his duty to do what's right, in conjunction kind of with like particular organizations and things like that. So you have him working with like the United States government in the first Avenger, and then he gets frozen. He gets unfrozen and is, helping in the present time and is helping S.H.I.E.L.D., fight against modern day Hydra. But then it turns out that S.H.I.E.L.D. Technically is the modern day Hydra because Hydra has infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. for many, many years. And so there's kind of this idea of, he's struggling to make the decision of whether or not, he should try to do like his own thing, to kind of fulfill his duty or, what he kind of sees as his duty to do what's right, while fighting against whether or not like his loyalty to, these particular governing bodies is correct or not, if it's right or not, if it's moral or not. And, for me on kind of a personal level, like I can really resonate and connect with that too, because, it's kind of the thing with, you've got, these particular organizations or places that like you work for, or these organizations that, kind of run the religions that, you're a part of, and then things like that. And you always kind of end up seeing like, as a Catholic, for example, I see certain Catholic parishes or, dioceses or, even kind of the church on like the whole sometimes, where it's almost like, hey, like if you're going to fulfill like your duty, quote unquote, as a Catholic, like this is what you've got to do, and these are the things you've got to do. And sometimes those things don't really align or match up with your own sort of design of who you are as a person, to do those types of things. Like for me personally, I always like approaching, my connection to other people on like the human level first and foremost, and not on, sort of the religious level. I'm never going to walk up to a person and the first thing is, oh, like, are you a Christian or not? Like, let's talk about it. Like, that's stuff that can come later after you've already established, like a connection with somebody, where you can actually have this like open dialogue and conversation about that kind of stuff, because you already have a foundation of trust and communication and that kind of thing. But like,
yeah,
so the things kind of, the struggle between having that and like those things not really aligning, the way that you might want them to, and struggling with that is something that I really love in the kind of the story of Captain America and his growth as a character, in particular in the MCU. They've done that kind of thing in the comics as well, but that's really solidified him, I think, as one of my favorites.
That's pretty cool, man. So I didn't even know that Captain America was one of your favorites.
Yeah.
Makes sense. My wife's favorite is Captain America as well.
He also punches Nazis, so that's pretty cool.
Yes. Punch the Nazis. Nazis are bad.
Yes.
But I think mainly my wife's. That's my wife's favorite, just because of his looks, I think. But I think there might be more into it. I don't want to like sell her out to be that shallow. But yeah, I will agree that he is an attractive man after the serum. So
yes, Chris Evans is a very mighty nice looking dude.
yes, that is for sure. Anyways, let's stop fanboying about like the looks of his body. Let's go to the next superhero on the list, which I only have one hero that's my favorite, and then we can get back to your second one because I know you have a second
Makes
one.
sense. Yes.
But mine would have to be Spider-Man. My favorite is Spider-Man, just on the sole purpose that he is very intelligent and like makes a lot of his stuff. And my favorite Spider-Man, to be honest, out of the Spider-Man movies, is, I think I've already told this before in another episode, but it's the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
Yep.
And the reason why is because it's really good. Like the first movie of the series, it's okay, but the second movie is like great, and people didn't give it much of a chance after that. But I really do like the PlayStation Spider-Man as well. The one for like the PlayStation 4 game where he's a little bit older and has already gone to college and like working with Dr. Octavius in like a lab and all that. Like it just super relatable where I'm at, and especially with like him having no parents and me having no parents, I guess that kind of resonated with me. But I mean, I just love the idea of just like swinging around all over the place. The only thing I really don't like is that spiders, man. I hate spiders. Spider!
Hiding in the corner.
Oh, yes. Some good old Bo Burnham. But yeah, so, I mean, that's my superhero. I just like how smart and intelligent he is, how he can think on the fly, and how he's witty and funny at the same time. Yeah. Out of all the Spider-Mans, and this may be another unpopular opinion because I think this is actually your favorite Spider-Man, is actually Tom Holland. I don't like that Spider-Man at all. Like, it's just not a good fit for me, I feel like.
See, I might surprise you here. I think Tom Holland's Spider-Man is good. However, I would actually probably say Tobey Maguire is my favorite Spider-Man. And the reason I say that, yes, is because I also grew up a Spider-Man fan. I would say Peter Parker is within my top 5 favorite superheroes for certain, because I mean, like I said, I grew up with the 90s cartoon.
Oh yeah,
which is amazing, by the way.
How did that theme song go?
It was like.
Was it the Spider-Man? Spider-Man does whatever a spider does, right? That one?
Well, the not quite.
Not quite.
I mean, that is like the Spider-Man theme song, but they didn't use that for the 90s cartoon.
I gotcha.
They used like a 90s cool rock kind of. It was like a version of that song, though. Just there wasn't any lyrics to it, except for the part where it's like radioactive spider blood. But, yeah, but I mean, like I grew up with Spider-Man through the cartoon, and then Tobey Maguire, obviously, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies were not the first superhero movies, but were kind of the first big, huge, blockbuster, successful ones in like the early 2000s. And so, and I'm, randomly here, but one of my favorite supervillains, Venom, is, obviously a Spider-Man villain. So, just the fact that, one of my favorite villains also comes from Spider-Man, I think is kind of a telling point on that for me. But,
yeah,
that's what I grew up with, superhero wise. Like, I would say that I liked Spider-Man before I liked Captain America, because I didn't really know Captain America back then. But yeah, I mean, Spider-Man is awesome. I kind of agree with you. Like, it's really cool how he's really, really intelligent, but he's still really down to earth and relatable. And just the fact that like, you look at Peter Parker's life, and, you would maybe think of other superheroes like, Iron Man. Well, he's like filthy rich. No, like Peter Parker is your normal run-of-the-mill kind of like young man, young person with, bills and like rents like a really shitty apartment, and
like
is poor.
Even in like the PlayStation, like in the PlayStation Spider-Man, like the very first scene is like he gets slipped an eviction notice underneath the door as he's going to save the world.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's a very, and I know Stan Lee has even gone on record saying it, that like he wanted Spider-Man to be extremely relatable, which I think is one of the reasons why Spider-Man is probably Marvel's most well-known superhero, and is one of the most well-known superheroes in pop culture in general. Is just that like almost anybody can relate to him,
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I was listening for my cat because I'm not sure if he's scratching the door or not. But I totally agree with that, and he's very relatable, and like because I know you don't have a PlayStation, but if you get a chance to like watch the Spider-Man on PlayStation, then I definitely do recommend it, because it's honestly one of my favorite stories, and it's really cool, especially just to play as Spider-Man. Like it's just the controls are amazing, and Miles Morales is actually another really good one as well. One of my other favorite Spider-Mans, but I digress. How about you share your second Marvel superhero?
Yes. So my second one, actually, and I'm listing here as my second one. I actually think I like this hero more than Captain America in general. Like if I were asked like which one is my favorite, I would probably say this one, and that is Daredevil. So unlike with Spider-Man, like, because obviously there was the Daredevil, the live action Daredevil movie with like Ben Affleck back in the like early to mid 2000s. That I thought was really cool back then, and in retrospect, looking back on it now, is not that great of a movie. But so I've known Daredevil for quite a long time too, and I kind of just thought like, oh, it's like kind of cool. He's like got this super sense, and he's blind or whatever, but he could do like cool athletic stuff, and I kind of just left it at that. But I am Catholic. I've mentioned that probably on every single episode so far, because that just seems to be something I say a bunch. But
make it into a t-shirt at this point.
Yes. Yours will say, I've got a story, and then mine will just say, I'm Catholic.
It'd be great.
It actually pertains here because Matt Murdock, the actual person behind Daredevil, is he himself is actually Catholic, and mostly he's like a lapsed Catholic, but the whole kind of thing behind like why does he pick the devil, and why is he called like the devil of Hell's Kitchen? Because like you would expect him to, if he's like kind of any bit religious, he would pick like something else or whatever. But basically it's basically to kind of like scare like the fear of hell into like criminals, right? Like kind of the idea that they're sinning against humanity by doing like these horrible things to other people, and so it's kind of like hell is coming for them, in the form of his justice, which is beating the living shit out of people.
We got beat up by a blind person, bruh.
Yeah, which you'll see is a running theme whenever we get to DC, but but I just really love the whole thing with him, right? Is he has this sort of internal struggle, so he doesn't just go out beat people up and that's it. There's like this internal struggle between his morality and the execution of what he believes is justice, right? So Matt Murdock is actually a lawyer by day, and so he kind of has like the legal channels to bring justice to criminals that deserve to be behind bars, and so he does that. But he also believes that there are certain criminals that that kind of thing it won't work for them. Trying to get them behind bars, like it just won't work, and he struggles with this whole thing of whether or not he should be going out and beating the living crap out of these people. And likewise, struggling with, wanting to essentially exact revenge because, he had his mother taken away, or his father, my bad, his father taken away by criminals, when he was young. And, essentially this struggle of exacting revenge on just the criminal underworld and, the desire to just straight up kill these people because they're evil. And so, like in the Netflix television series, which I absolutely love, and I suggest anybody that's interested in anything like that, go watch it. There's many a scene throughout the first few seasons where he will literally go to like a Catholic church and he'll talk to the priest, and he'll go like to confession and stuff and like talk, to try to work through that struggle, try to figure out like, I really just want to go and like kill these people because they don't deserve to live because of all these horrible things they do. But does that make me a horrible person? Like, is that really justice? And just that whole, like the ethics and morality and the struggle there, like, is something that is extremely human. Like in this context, like it's, you can kind of say it's religious, but it's just human in general. And, kind of coming from that background where like the ethics and the morality and like and all that is like something that, I actually studied and is important to me and that kind of thing. Like it really resonates with me on such a deeper level than just like, hot, the superhero, cool, kicking ass, like kind of thing. And which I mean, yeah, there's superheroes I like because of that reason. But yeah, I would say Daredevil, like really just like kind of all encompassing with everything. Like that's, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and though he is a superhero, it seems like he is very human and down to earth. And like you can get behind that, like, and you'll hear about it in one of my other superheroes from the DC side that I kind of love that stuff as well, like the morality behind it. Like, do I kill or do I not kill? Am I becoming as bad as these bad people are, or am I doing good? And it's definitely a fine line, and there's a lot of gray, and there's not a lot of yes or no, and that's life, man. I mean, so I agree with you. I might actually go watch Daredevil after this. But
you should. It's so good.
Yes. So, but those are our Marvel side of things. Of course, there are many other Marvel superheroes, and we didn't mention a lot of them. But if there are any that you want us to know about, or maybe ones that we missed that we might even like ourselves, please mention it in the comments below. And if you're watching on something that has comments on the below, otherwise you can find us on Facebook or Instagram. But next, I would like to talk about DC, which DC is actually one of my personal favorites. And since I have two, I'm actually going to lead the charge on this one. And I'm going to go with one that actually has had a TV show for a while and kind of relates. You might have heard my cat meow in the background because he's an asshole.
I did. Cats are assholes.
Yeah. Little dumb Trump ass. Get over here. Anyways, that's going to be cut.
No, of course it is. Wait, great.
Right? But no, so you might notice a theme with my favorite superhero from DC, or one of them, is actually the Flash, Barry Allen. Just because he does have a superpower, just like Spider-Man, he got this superpower by accident. And he doesn't have any parents. He's he does have parents, of course. He became a person, but his mom got murdered, and it got all pinned on his dad, and his dad's actually in prison because of it. And his dad actually didn't kill his mom. It just got kind of all pinned onto him. But he is very smart, very witty as well, just like Spider-Man, except his power is super speed, and I think that is really cool. And by all means, these powers that like Spider-Man and the Flash have, they aren't the strongest, and you kind of have to work with what you got. And they definitely do that. They think of brand new ways to make their powers into something brand new to where it throws the enemies off. And I personally really like the Flash because he's very witty. He brings a lot of science into a lot of everything, and you just think of like a lot of things with speed that you don't think of, like, oh, he's running so fast, he's burning through his shoes, and you don't even think about that kind of stuff. You're like, oh, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it just very relatable for me, just because like I like, you know, the smart superheroes, because I've always felt like that I've, you know, not to boast or anything, like I feel like that I've been labeled like the smart kid or the nerdy kid or whatnot. And I've actually loved science and loved math. Like those are my two favorite subjects. And whenever I get a chance to use them in my job, which I actually use them in my job now, it just, I love it, especially in like high stress situations. And that's exactly what these superheroes are doing every single day. And I love it. So
Yeah, and I will say, like, you know, I feel like Flash is one of those that some people like to kind of like rip on for, like you kind of said, like super speed. It doesn't necessarily seem like that cool of a power, but like I can really appreciate how DC handles the Flash, because you know you'll see a lot of different media where you've got Flash and he's like super integral towards like defeating the main villain. Like I believe there was a like the Justice League animated series, they had a movie, and I forget who it was that they were fighting, like who the main villain was in the movie, but you know, the whole Justice League is kind of having some issues like fighting this guy, and then all of a sudden the Flash comes out of nowhere and just starts going like super speed and like punching the living shit out of this person, and like basically ends up helping the team win. You know, because I want to say maybe it was Lex Luthor and he was like in some kind of like super power armor thing, and so obviously like Superman was kind of useless because like kryptonite, and then you know he was in like a power suit, so everybody else was kind of struggling, but Flash just comes in and just starts like running by. He did this like really cool ass thing where he was basically running laps around the world, and every time he would like finish a lap he would punch him. And so like he basically just ended up like breaking off all of this armor, and helping them win because like he's badass. So
yeah, so like it makes me like him even more with like his background story as well too, because in the TV series, I'm not sure if you've watched it, but in the TV series he is raised by a man that's actually not his real father, but he looks to him as a father. And I relate to that as well, because I was raised by a man that's not my father, but you know, I view him as my father. And it you know, it resonated with me a lot, and just to see that side of the things and the fact that he's like a superhero on the side is really cool. So but I'll get off my Flash soapbox in a flash.
gotta go fast.
Anyways, right? But let's hear your side of things. So, do you have a favorite DC superhero?
I do, and call me basic. I don't care. I fucking love Batman. Like, again, much like with, you know, kind of with Daredevil, with like Spider-Man and stuff, like I literally grew up on Batman. Like Batman was my favorite superhero since I could remember thinking. You know, there was the animated series in the 90s. In conjunction with that, there was like as I mentioned, the Justice League animated series. I watched both of those religiously. Obviously, I had also watched the old live-action Batman movies, like the ones with Michael Keaton and like so on and so forth. I was absolutely over the moon when the Christopher Nolan ones with Christian Bale came out, and Batman Begins was such a cool movie. And The Dark Knight, really phenomenal. Dark Knight Rises, not as great, but still pretty decent. You know, I basically have just every point in my life at this point, I've just Batman. Whether it was animated series when I was younger, those movies when I was a little bit older. There was stuff like the Arkham games are
Those are pretty good.
They're so good. It's so fun to play. Batman is absolutely freaking phenomenal in it. Kevin Conroy, who is just, he honestly is my Batman, and forever will be. He passed away a couple months ago. So rest in peace to him. But he just, when I think of Batman, I think of the voice of Batman. It's Kevin Conroy, and it has been for 20 something plus years of my life. And his rogues gallery, like the villains, so good. There's so many good villains, and there's not any time I can really think of where like they're just done very, very poorly, or what have you. Like he's just got a bunch of really great villains, and they're all usually executed very well. His villains aren't even just these people wanting to do bad things because bad things or whatever. Like a lot of his villains are very educated people. Most of them are doctors, have like PhDs and stuff, and so it's never usually just it's a superhero fight with a supervillain, all physical, bunch of punching and kicking and da da da. Like there's a lot of like mind games and like tricks, like all that kind of stuff like flows through like when he's fighting his villains, and it's like fantastic. Like his whole thing with his fight for justice stems from him losing his parents and not wanting anybody else to go through that same sort of trauma, which like obviously like I don't talk to my dad nowadays, but he didn't die. And I have my mom.
Practically he died.
Yeah, he's dead to me. But and I still have my mom. But just that whole like the idea behind that, right? That you've been through some shit, and you want to do everything in your power to make sure that either other people don't go through that shit, or if they do go through that shit, that you're there to sort of be there for them and support them. Like that's something that has been kind of a part of just me and my nature my whole life, and so I can definitely relate to that. And holy crap, man, the Matt Reeves the Batman that came out last year with Robert Pattinson, it is one of my favorite movies ever. It's so wonderfully done. It really digs into the heart of like I think I mentioned this on the last episode of yours, the horror game one, that I really love puzzles. I really love mysteries and like figuring things out. And kind of the heart of Batman was he started sort of as a detective. DC stands for Detective Comics, and so he
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, so
not District of Columbia.
Not District of Columbia Comics. But yeah, like he didn't even start in like a Batman specifically like comic series. He started as just Detective Comics. And the whole thing was that it was a very noir style, like him, going around and being a detective and investigating stuff. And, that's always kind of been at the heart of Batman is, yeah, he goes around and like fights crime, but he also like solves these mysteries and is a detective. He's called the world's greatest detective, and like, yeah. I love that kind of stuff. And, the Matt Reeves movie really played heavily on that, which we haven't really seen in like a live action movie for a long time, if ever really. And they announced that there's going to be a second one, and I am so excited for that movie to come out because it's going to be, I think, even better than the first one, and I'm just so excited.
Sounds like it. Like I haven't watched a lot of Batman or played a lot of the Batman games to like chime in with this, but I know Batman is beloved by a lot of people. So
yes, yeah,
but I mean, you'll have to get me into it and like strap me down and watch a few of these movies or something like that.
Well, yeah, you will play the Spider-Man game for me, and I will play one of
The Arkham
the
game.
Arkham games for you.
Nice. I like that. I like that agreement. We can stick with that.
Yes.
So, but talking about Batman, it's kind of ironic that I say that I haven't talked about like or watched Batman or played any Batman games or anything like that because this next hero from the DC comics almost reminds me of a Batman because he's very rich and he really has no superpowers besides him just being an overall badass. And it is Green Arrow. The Green Arrow is actually another one of my favorite DC comic superhero because, I mean, there was those cameos where like the Flash would come in and all that, but I initially got into watching the Green Arrow's TV series without even realizing it was a DC comic thing. I just watched it and I was like, wow, Oliver Queen has been through like a lot of shit, and he's like super rich and like has all this money, and I could see a lot of things of why he thought the way he did because like he starts off being like a preppy rich boy that nobody likes, but then him and his father got on this like boat and then it crashes down on this island in like near Asia or something like that, and he goes like through literal hell to survive it and then come back to what was it, Stars Hollow, I think it's where I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I have to look it up right now. Pause. Star City. So with him being in Star City, I don't know why I said Stars Hollow. It was probably from a different thing, but Star City. Yeah, and the whole story of Green Arrow is that once he goes through that little hell, he becomes a completely different person and becomes a vigilante. And they even say it in the show and all that, just because he starts off by literally murdering people that are doing wrong in the city, trying to clean up the city of Star City. And I related with that. I was like, yeah, kill him, blah, blah. But then he comes to a revelation of, like, am I doing what's right? Like, is this the right thing to do? Am I just becoming just as bad as the other bad guys? And then he starts placing his arrow shots so where he's not quite killing them, but just incapacitating them. So it's almost like a mixture of like Batman and like Daredevil for you. Yeah. You know? So I mean that's kind of where I'm at with that. Have you watched any of the Green Arrow stuff?
I have not.
It's really good. And if you have a chance to watch it, definitely watch it. And you'll have to watch The Flash as well because they make cameos in both TV shows. They make cameos in both TV shows for each other all the time. Cool. So it's interesting to watch how they both blend stuff together.
Yeah. So it's all connected.
Yes, it is all connected. So, but that is my last superhero that I wanted to bring up. Again, just like with the Marvel stuff, if you have a superhero that we didn't bring up that you think we might like or that you just really like, bring it up in the comments below or find us on our Facebook or Instagram. You can always find us there and just post on there. We'll be posting a lot more stuff and being a lot more engaging and all that. And we really want to hear from you guys and hear what you want from us as far as featured content or how we're running things. If you want one of us to shut up more than the other, if you want one of us to talk more than the other, please let us know. We want to hear all your feedback, even the shitty stuff.
Yep. Like apparently how my taste in fast foods is not great. From what I was
and
told.
Neither is mine.
From what I was told. So there's that apparently. Yeah, so make sure to, as Matthew said, check out our Facebook and our Instagram pages. We are definitely going to be trying to do a little bit more stuff on there that can get our audience kind of involved and talking with us directly, giving us some ideas, letting us know what you all are thinking, because that's why we're putting up those questions and stuff, because we want to know the answers. So you can check those out on Facebook or Instagram. I will also be doing updates on episodes and things like that on there as well, so you can stay up to date with us. And one of the other ways to do that is to make sure that you subscribe and follow the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, or any of those other places you can find podcasts that we happen to be on.
Yes, and as always, friends, stay tired.